Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Vraja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jayoradha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jayoradha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Tagora Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitagora Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitagora Hari Bol. Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada. Nitya Lila Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Asashatashi Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jaya Nitya Lila Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Asashatashi Srimad Bhakti Saranta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Namacharya Shila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gogopina Chamakund Radha Kund Giriraj Govardhana Ki Jai. Vrindavan Mathura Dhama Ki Jai. Mayapur Navadvip Dhama Ki Jai. Shri Jagannath Puri Dhama Ki Jai. Gangamaye Ki Jai. Yamunamaye Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai. Shri Harinama Sankirtan Yagna Ki Jai. Cow Protection Ki Jai. Prasadam Distribution Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 13, Text 35. The chapter is called The Appearance of Lord Varaha. Please repeat. Rupam tavaitan nanu dushkritatmanam Dudarshanam devayad advaratmakam Chandamsi asyatvachi barhi romansvip Ajyam drishit vangrishu chaturhotram Rupam tavaitan nanu dukshritatmanam Dudarshanam devayad advaratmakam Chandamsi asatvachi bari romans Ajam trishitva angrishu chaturhotram Rupam tavaitan nanu dushkritatmanam Dudarshanam devayad atvaratmakam Chandamsi asyatvachi bari romans Ajyam drishitvi angrishu chaturhotram. Please repeat. Rupam, form. Tava, your. Etat, this. Nanu, but. Dushkrita Atmanam, of souls who are simply miscreants. Shanam, very difficult to see. Deva, O Lord. Yat, that. Advara Atmakam, worshipable by performance of sacrifice. Chandamsi, the Gayatri mantra, and others. Yasya, whose. Tvachi, touch of the skin. Barihi, sacred grass, called kusha. Romasu, hairs on the body. Ajyam, clarified butter. Rishi, in the eyes. Two, also. Angrishu, on the four legs. Chatuhotram, four kinds of fruitive activities. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. O Lord, your form is worshipable by performances of sacrifice, but souls who are simply miscreants are unable to see it. All the Vedic hymns, Gayatri and others, are in the touch of your skin. In your bodily hairs is the kusha grass. In your eyes is the clarified butter. And in your four legs are the four kinds of fruitive activities. Please repeat. O Lord, your form is worshipable by performances of sacrifice, but souls who are simply miscreants are unable to see it. All the Vedic hymns, Gayatri and others, are in the touch of your skin. In your bodily hairs is the kusha grass. In your eyes is the clarified butter. And in your four legs are the four kinds of fruitive activities. Purport, Srila Prabhupada. There's a class of miscreants who are known in the words of Bhagavad Gita as Vedavadi, or so-called strict followers of the Vedas. They do not believe in the incarnation of the Lord, what to speak of the Lord's incarnation as a worshipable hog. They describe worship of different forms or incarnations of the Lord as anthropomorphism. In the estimation of Srimad Bhagavatam, these men are miscreants. And in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, verse 15, they are called not only miscreants, but also fools and the lost of mankind. And it is said that their knowledge has been plundered by illusion due to their atheistic temperament. For such condemned persons, the Lord's incarnation as a gigantic hog is invisible. These strict followers of the Vedas, who despise the eternal forms of the Lord, may know from Srimad Bhagavatam that such incarnations are personified forms of the Vedas. The Lord's boar skin, his eyes, his bodily hair, holes, are all described here as different parts of the Vedas. He is therefore the personified form of the Vedic hymns, specifically the Gayatri mantra. Read the verse again. O Lord, your form is worshipable by performances of sacrifice, but souls who are simply miscreants are unable to see it. All the Vedic hymns, Gayatri and others are in the touch of your skin. In your bodily hairs is the kusha grass. In your eyes is the clarified butter. And in your forelegs are the 4 kinds of fruitive activities. So, Srila Prabhupada gives a very clear purport, continuing the chapter, the glorious pastimes of Lord Varahadev, which is preparing the cosmic scene as we see the avatars fall into different categories, or the Yuga avatars, Lila avatars, Purusha avatars, and Guna avatars. They come time to time to facilitate the grand design of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Ultimately, Swayam Bhagavan, Lord Shri Krishna, Ishvaraha Paramaha Krishna, Sachitananda Vigraha, Anadir Adir Govindaha, Sarva Karana Karanam, the cause of all causes. So these great personalities, great avatars, transcendental expansions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They are not different from Him, although they manifest whatever they have to manifest for the particular pastimes or the function or purpose of the incarnations. So Varaha had a purpose, and you see Varaha is very, very important in Vedic sacrifices. And if we read the Vedic hymns like Purusha, Shuktam, which glorifies the different names of the Lord, Lord Varahadev also had 1,000 names, Sahasranam. Most of the avatars have at least 1,008 names. Lord Narasimha, Vishnu Sahasranam. So each name glorifies the feature, beautiful qualities, and the potencies. And each name gives an indication of his pastimes. And we can see different incarnations. They all appeared in a historical context in different yugas or kalpas. Krishna already has, through his expansions, Narayan expansions, Vishnu expansion, Purusha avatars, he's got a grand design already. So he scheduled himself in different avatars. He comes as Varaha, and then continues Narasimha, and all the avatars gradually manifesting. And they all have a very beautiful mission, which is very similar, more or less, to one another, because when the Lord appears, He comes to enliven and inspire and encourage His devotees, especially His pure, unalloyed devotees who fully immersed in these beautiful pastimes, the Leelas. They fully relish these pastimes. Just like when Krishna Himself appeared in Vrindavan, Vrajabhumi, Vrajamandal, the residents of Vrindavan, they were so jubilant, so enlivened by Krishna's presence, although they could not, at least philosophically, perceive that He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. No, they cared. They didn't even care. They just loved Krishna. Unalloyed, pure, unconditional love. That is something. It's difficult to comprehend unless we have that, even just a tinge of that love. For the time being, we need to understand the Siddhanta, philosophy of Krishna consciousness. And obviously we're all approaching and coming into spiritual life, or having the opportunity to meet Krishna consciousness. We gradually study who Krishna is, what is our relationship with him, the purpose of life. And this is explained very clearly in the Bhagavad Gita. First of all, we have to understand Krishna's position before we can even comprehend or realize the expansions and avatars. So Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita. And therefore we encourage all the new devotees who are interested in our philosophy to study Bhagavad Gita, because it gives a very systematic, scientific explanation who God is. This is not a sentiment, a very, very deep science. Great personalities studied Bhagavad Gita. Albert Einstein is studied and read regularly, and many, many other great personalities. And Bhagavad Gita is a very famous academic literature. Many of the universities, famous colleges all around the world, Yale, Cambridge, Harvard, Oxford, Prince, all these universities, famous colleges, they study and teach some of Srila Prabhupada's books. When I was in Canberra University a few years ago, we have one devotee there, Nila Madhava Prabhu, who's like a Sanskrit professor, and he uses Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita for Sanskrit courses. So we can see that these books are actually becoming available even in a higher academic circles, because they're scholarly and systematic scientific presentation of God consciousness. So I encourage all the new devotees to study systematically and patiently. And then when we come to the Srimad Bhagavatam, then many things very clear, connecting to one another. So in this particular verse and purport, one of the most prominent personality, Lord Varaha. Varaha means a transcendental boar. So this is very, I would say, unbelievable for the materialistic atheistic class. Just like Srila Prabhupada says, referring to the Bhagavad Gita chapter 7, verse 15, the miscreants, the 4 kinds, and the whole purport on this, very beautiful purport. So if you read that purport, Prabhupada makes it very clear. The Naradama, the hellish mentality, the atheistic class, the grossly ignorant, foolish, envious. So they fall into categories. For them, no question, they don't have an access to this transcendental knowledge. Beautiful, esoteric teachings of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Not to speak of understanding that the God can appear in any form, like a transcendental boar, Varaha, lift the earth. This is something out of the Star Wars, because they cannot comprehend. A devotee can comprehend, because once we establish within our heart that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Almighty, Supreme Power, the cause of all causes, Sarva Karana Karanam, the cause of all causes, nothing is impossible. There's no such a thing impossible. There is no such a thing impossible anyway. There's a fabricated word, impossible. There's no standalone word in English. This is just a borrowed, fabricated word. Nothing is impossible in God's creation. We have these words because we are human limitations. We cannot really comprehend what that means. Infallible, unlimited potencies, power. We cannot comprehend God's creation and His potencies. But the Srimad Bhagavatam give us hints so we can somehow or other have some comprehension and realization God's unlimited potencies. So Varahadev is a very, very powerful form and constantly glorified in the Vedic hymns. So if you're interested in Sanskrit studies, I would recommend study, if you can memorize them even better, Purusha Shuktam, which glorifies all the great avatars. Often the Brahmins, when they perform fire sacrifices, especially Bhumi Puja, which is very interesting, Bhumi Puja, because Mother Earth, Goddess Earth, Mother Bhumi Devi, Shri Bhumi Devi, she is the eternal concept of Lord Varaha. And if you have a great fortune to visit some of these ancient temples in South India, not to speak of the famous ones like Sri Rangam, Tirumala, Udupi, many, many beautiful places. But there are places where Varaha and Bhumi Devi together, eternal concepts. So Bhumi Devi, she's an eternal concept of Lord Varaha. So you can see the whole pastimes. A very deep philosophy with it. Because why Krishna comes as Varaha and lifts the earth from the bottom of the ocean, a cosmic ocean. Why he's taking that form as Varaha. But by the way, these forms are not from this material dimension, higher dimensional, transcendental forms. God can take any form, by the way. But his form is not material, higher dimensional, transcendental, beyond our gross sense perception. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada says in the purport here, ordinary persons who deny the supremacy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they cannot visualize him. For them, it's invisible. It's some kind of a mythological story, some gigantic monster, they call him avatar. They can't comprehend. Academic scholars, they give speculations and interpretations, the position of the avatars. They just label it as Srila Prabhupada says here, anthropomorphism, which is, they're really just like a subject matter of mythological study, which kind of goes back to history, either ancient history or obviously they have their own time calculations. They don't recognize the yugas as we recognize from the Bhagavatam. Even if they talk about the yugas, they don't have a clear perception or authentic source, because they don't accept the Srimad Bhagavatam as the authority. Only a devotee can, someone who is actually very sincere in devotional service, they have a respect for this. Ordinary persons, they're looking like, especially academic studies, they're looking at as a mythological, historical writings. They don't get into the spiritual teachings itself. They're just looking into the storyline or the historical context or geographical location or the kings or the empires. And it's really just a collection of data, nothing to do with comprehension, realization, or transcendental commentary. Therefore, the Srimad Bhagavatam gives us very clear, authentic knowledge presented by the Mahajanas, the great authorities, and coming down from Sri Parampara to the present day. So, Srila Prabhupada was emphasizing the study of Srimad Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam regularly, because we can somehow or other have some glimpse, at least some level of realization who God is. So Varaha, he came to save Bhumi Devi. Bhumi Devi, she is an expansion of Lakshmi Devi. And we know Lakshmi Devi expanding out of Srimati Radharani. So just like Krishna has his expansion, Balaram is the first, and then it goes on to Sankarshan, Aniruddha, Ananta, all these personalities, and further expanding. Then the Vishnu, Purusha avatars, and further expanding to the Paramatma within our heart. So Krishna is expanding further, and then Guna avatars. So ultimately, Srimati Radharani also expanding her Shakti, Lidini Shakti, coming Lakshmi Devi to the Vaikuntha realm. And from there, Bhumi Devi, Mother Earth, her feminine, motherly aspect. So Mother Earth is worshipable in Vedic culture. And you see all the sampradayas, particularly Sri Vaishnavas, they worship the goddess Lakshmi and Mother Earth. They're very particular about Bhumi Puja, worshipping Mother Earth. So Mother Earth and Varahadev cannot be separated. They're eternal concepts. So anything to do with Varaha, immediately Bhumi Devi is there. Even the whole pastimes here, his appearance to save Mother Earth from devastation. And of course, when Varaha comes, again, just like all the avatars, they're enlightening human society. They are giving us directions, because human life requires directions. And that direction comes down again through the parampara. Parampara means guru and disciple succession. So the teachers, the great teachers, the great Mahabhagavata. Mahabhagavata means the great pure Vaishnavas, great devotees of the Lord, who are very pure and saintly. Without any change, they're passing down, called the Divya Jnana, transcendental knowledge. See, just like if you read the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna speaks to Arjuna, and Arjuna continues. So same, we call it parampara, Sri Parampara. The whole concept is worshipable. And it's all personalities, nothing impersonal. And if you see, Srila Prabhupada explains in this purport that, see, Varahadev's body, his body, very body, all that appears as a hog, the transcendental boar, everything has a meaning. His skin, his pores of his hairs, kusha grass. Srila Prabhupada explains very nicely. His skin is actually the personified forms of the Vedas. The Lord boar's skin, his eyes, his bodily hair holes are all described here as different parts of the Vedas. He is therefore the personified form of the Vedic hymns, and specifically the Gayatri mantra. So you can see Varaha is one of the most prominent avatars of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because it's right in the beginning of the creation, as we read the Bhagavatam systematically, how Lord Varaha appears all scheduled. So establish his supremacy, which is always a purpose of his avatars, that he's establishing himself as the Supreme Brahman, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He reveals some of the Vedic Shastras, just like we have for example, we have the Puranas. We have many different Puranas. There are 18 Puranas altogether, and each guna, modes of nature, has 6 Puranas. We have the Tamaguna, then we have the Raja, and the Sattvic. The last 6 are the Sattvic Puranas. Matsya Purana, Narasingha Purana, Varaha Purana, Skanda Purana, Padma Purana. Purana means history, Vedic knowledge, Vedic history. And basically it's a historical recording of great avatars and pastimes, how they're manifesting. For example, Tulsi Devi. As we mentioned, that Bhumi Devi, she's an expansion of Lakshmi Devi. Similarly, a Tulsi plant, she's an expansion, partial expansion of Vrinda Devi. And Vrinda Devi, she's a very intimate friend of Srimati Radharani. So, a very beautiful pastimes behind it, but you can see how they're expanding. So Srimati Radharani expands into Vrinda Devi, a close friend, and Vrinda Devi expands further into Vaikuntha realm as Tulsi, and it coming down to the material atmosphere, and she's worshipped as a Tulsi plant. Very beautiful pastimes behind it. And if you read, and this is mentioned in Padma Purana, there are 13 chapters about the glorious pastimes of Tulsi Devi, Vrinda Devi. So Padma Purana, Srila Prabhupada often quotes Skanda Purana and Padma Purana, very relevant to complement the teachings of Srimad Bhagavatam. And you see, many of the purports, Srila Prabhupada, of course, reading the purports of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, his spiritual master, and his personal studies of the Puranas also, because Prabhupada was very much quoting references from Padma Purana. And so these beautiful expansions, either from Srimati Radharani's side or Lord Krishna's side, they're coming here to exhibit the beautiful leelas, pastimes. So Varaha is a very special one. There are many information about, Vedic information about Varaha and his names and his pastime, his particular qualities. And he manifested this, so he's also representing the Gayatri Mantra, which is very important topic for the Brahminical culture, the Brahmanas, because the Gayatri Mantra, really it's helping the Brahminical class to have a more intimate access to a higher meditation, really. It really goes up to really into even up to Rajabhumi, beautiful pastimes. And the Brahmanas know that there's a systematic prayer, starting with the spiritual master, and then we going up to Shri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, and then we gradually touch the essence of Rajabhumi. So the Gayatri Mantra helps the Brahmanas, the Vaishnava Brahmanas, who bypassing the Brahminical stage, they want to be in a Suddha Sattva, pure stage of devotion. They want to be devotees. They have the eagerness to become lovers of Krishna. They want to love Krishna. They're not so much occupied with the varnas or ashrams. They just want to love Krishna. So the Gayatri Mantra gradually raises one's consciousness to that platform of pure love. Of course, someone who chants the holy names of Shri Krishna, the Maha Mantra, most glorious divine names of Krishna. Krishna is directly there, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. If we're very pure-hearted, we can see Radha and Krishna in these names. We can feel them, their form, their pastimes, their activities. God is a great personality, and you can see his whole pastimes, even just Varahadev, everything is personal. Bodily limbs, his skin, his eyes, 4 legs, 4 legs, the 4 Vedas, the kusha grass, these hairs, which is very important in Brahminical sacrifices, pujas. Often when Hiranyaksha, as you read in the, if you read the chapter, as we go on with the chapter later on, he has a ferocious fight with Hiranyaksha. And just like Narasingha, half man, half lion avatar, he had a very ferocious fight with Hiranyakashipu. Hiranya means gold, Kashipu means bed. So he was the emblem of most atheistic class. Nothing else, only gold and women and worldly enjoyment. So you can say the material world is more or less, at least to some extent, everyone's affected by these qualities of raja, passion and ignorance. So nevertheless, the Supreme Personality of Godhead chose that the supreme good wins over evil. The good always wins. Ramachandra's pastimes are very classic, Lord Ram. That Ramachandra also symbolizes, not only teaches, that the good will win over evil. So in this material world, we have the Asuri class. So there are different categories. Srila Prabhupada explains in that Bhagavad Gita chapter 7, verse 15, that they call them miscreants. They all have different names, Naradama, Duskritina, all different. They all have the exemplary bad qualities. Some are atheistic, grossly ignorant, envious, neglecting the personality of Godhead. And of course we can break it down more, like we call it Mayavada or impersonalist or atheistic class generally. So we reject that. We reject that because we are devotees of Krishna. We are not interested in demonic qualities. We are interested in divine qualities. That's why Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, the divine and demoniac natures. It's up to us. But we have to know what are those qualities. So we aiming and aspiring to have divine qualities, sublime devotional qualities, which is again all around devotion service and expressing our love and gratitude to our teachers and the great personalities, the Supreme Personality, with love. So we have a sense of duty and also not only gratitude, appreciation, and feeling indebted to our spiritual masters and the devotees, all the Vaishnavis. We offer humble, respectful obeisances. They're very kind to us because we can have the association. We can remind it about Krishna and the beautiful pastimes as Varaha. Varaha is a very special form here. So when Varaha was fighting with Hiranyaksha, some of his hair particles fell in a cosmic ocean and some planets, even Chandralok, moon planet. So some of this Kusha grass is still burning. So some of these planets are self-illuminating. So there's a reason that some of these planets are so bright, and because Kusha grass is still burning on those planets after the fight with Hiranyaksha. So everything about his body has a meaning. So God's body is not an ordinary body. Transcendental, beyond this three-dimensional experience. Mahabhutas like the fire, Agni, earth, water, air. No, he's above all these things. He's not subjected by his own energies. This is one of his inferior energies. Generally we call it Prakriti, the energies of Supreme Personality of Godhead. Again, there's a purpose behind this creation. And we go back to the second canto, we can see it's a gradual, systematic explanation about the creation, then Lord Brahmaji's appearance, then all the great avatars gradually manifesting for their function or purpose. Every kalpa, every yuga has their perplexities, some big asuras coming. But interesting is, in previous yugas, the large percentage was influenced by mode of goodness. So the asuras were very rare, and they lived in different planetary systems, but they were powerful. They were cosmic giants. Anyone who dares to fight with Lord Nrsingadev or Hiranyaksha must be really powerful. And they actually thought they can fight him. So they're so deluded. But you see, as we entering Dwapar Yuga, and so the population is getting more affected by the Rajaguna and some level of Tamaguna, because sacrifices will start minimized and neglected. And Kali Yuga is a very difficult times, because now the atmosphere is influenced by Tamaguna and Rajaguna very much. So not much of a goodness left. So nevertheless, the great fortune we have, the Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, again, as we know, came to deliver the fallen conditioned souls of this Kali Yuga, giving us a very powerful process, a very powerful formula. But no other yugas had that emphasis on this. In Satya Yuga, great tapasya, great austerities, Vishwamitra Muni, Vasistha Muni, all great sages, rishis, Himalayas, tens of thousands of years of meditation. But in Treta Yuga, we had the sacrifices. So they were powerful. The great Raja rishis performed sacrifices. Lord Ramachandra appeared in Treta Yuga. So you can see his kingdom around Ayodhya. All the Vedic kings, the Raja rishis, they're always into performing great sacrifices. So, which is, even now in India, you feel that mood of Lord Ramachandra. He was the greatest example of Raja Rishi, saintly personality, great king. And he was, of course, the Supreme Personality of Godhead directly. Srila Prabhupada explains in not only purports, but when he translates some of the Vaishnava songs, that Krishna, the Swayam Bhagavan, Lord Shri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Narasingha, Narahari, half man, half lion, and Lord Ramachandra, directly manifesting the full potency of Swayam Bhagavan. The other avatars, Matsya, Kurma, even Varaha, many other avatars, although they're not different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but they only manifest their potency, whatever is necessary for the pastimes. So they just manifest whatever necessary function. So the Vedic Brahmanas, they worshipped all these avatars in a particular time, place, circumstances, different yugas. In Dwapar Yuga became the temple worship, Archa Vigraha, massive temples. And if you go down South India, you see these old temples, some going back to even Dwapar Yuga. You can see the architectural setting. Wow. And some of these temples, not even buildings anymore, they were actually vimanas. Vishwakarma personally brought these temples down. So Vishwakarma, the celestial architect of the Devas, he was expert artist. He is the master of architecture. So he was blessing people of Dwapara Yuga. In Kali Yuga, the only hope we have, the Nama Sankirtan, the holy names of Krishna. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu mentions and clearly states, there's no other way, there's no other way, there's no other way, except the chanting of the holy names of Krishna. So, the International Society of Krishna Consciousness, founded by Srila Prabhupada, give great emphasis on Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings, which was further explained by the six Goswamis and all the great Gaudiya Vaishnavas, Narottama Das Thakur, Lokanath, all coming down to the present day, emphasizing the importance of Yuga Dharma, the chanting of the holy names of Krishna. Because what else we have? We can't do sacrifices properly in Kali Yuga. It's all not complete. We can't do great austerities. We can't do great temple worship, which requires all the items, pure ingredients, gold, jewels. Only the Raja Rishis could supply that. We don't have the facility anymore. And actually in Kali Yuga, you see the whole planet is becoming more and more poverty-stricken. Because Bhumi Devi is withdrawing the mercy. In different yugas and kalpas, the earth was producing more pearls and so much wealth we had, abundance of vegetation. And now you see different parts of the world, massive droughts, countries turning to deserts, or inundation of rain and devastations. It's already happening in front of us. But this is just the result of Kali Yuga. No yagna, no sacrifice, no recognition that there is a supreme personality, a supreme divine who is providing everything and everyone. They don't have the Pancha Mahayagna, the 5, because in Vedic times, the followers of Vedic culture, they recognize all the great devas, Ishwaras, not to speak of the Parama Ishvara, the Supreme Personality. So just like in Krishna's pastimes, the whole Braja Bhumi, everyone wanted to worship Indradev because he was supplying all the goods, and the rain, the blessings. The devas, they're giving us their own blessings. But when there's no sacrifice, they're not giving us mercy. They're withdrawing their mercy gradually. They're turning off the tap of resources. And you see, the whole world is now having a competition. Who's going to capture the resources? Which is, again, a demonic, asuric quality. And that's what the great asuras were doing. Ravana, Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu, they're trying to capture the gold. The gold is very attractive to the asuras. So Lord Varaha comes and establishes his supremacy again. And if you read the chapter, we'll continue. Beautiful pastimes manifesting. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Is any questions or comments? Hare Krishna. Krishna Prabhupada. Lesson Prasadam. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Lord Shri Krishna ki jai. Hare Krishna. Shri Varaha Deva ki jai.